Hi, Christopher. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Wonderful. Well, pleasure to meet you over this Zoom meeting and also to talk about the paranormal experiences that you had that it's fascinating to a lot of people, but it's also scary to others.
Yeah. Yeah, the experience runs the gamut from extremely terrifying to, in some cases, actually divine and almost spiritual.
And how do you got interested in all this paranormal, studying the UFOs?
Wow, it wasn't my choice to enter this world. I actually kind of fell into it when I was back in college, and my background is actually in magic and illusion. And someone came to me and said they had a haunted house, and most magicians, they have a tendency to look at people who have experiences and say, well, there's probably some other explanation for it. But after time and time again encountering people who've had experiences that couldn't be dismissed, that kind of drew me more into the world. And that's where it got me into parapsychology and studying and getting educated in parapsychology. And after going on thousands of cases, and then I even got deeper because I joined a scientific group, and they trained me in anomalistics, which is a scientific method of investigating these phenomena, and basically traveling all over the world, investigating thousands of cases of all kinds of phenomena. And I just sort of one thing led into another. It wasn't my interest actually to really get into it. And for the longest time, I've been trying to retire from it because it is very exhausting, especially now during the pandemic. Whenever I have to fly out of the country to deal with some kind of phenomena, I also have to deal with the pandemic, everywhere in every corner. It makes it more challenging, and it's really quite an exhausting type of endeavor.
Yeah. And now that you mentioned, well, I just got interested in that first experience that you had at that haunted house. How was it? Was there something that really got stuck to you or that changed the way you view things?
Well, it was interesting because it was something that eventually came up later in parapsychology. They would all have the experience, but they could never capture anything on camera. And I mean, for anyone who walked in there, it almost looked like it was a well-rehearsed kind of script because there was a big family. So even how can little children say, I hear that at the same time the other family members would, everyone would hear it, but yet you couldn't record something. And later on, that would not just hear it, but you'll see something too. And later on in parapsychology, we begin to understand there's different types of haunt phenomena. There's the objective type, where everyone, of course, like you see in Ghostbusters, and like a lot of people often have when they record something on camera or they record something audio-wise. But the most common type of haunt phenomena is something called a subjective haunt. And that's where the phenomena is almost entirely sensory, where you could be around a table, let's say at Thanksgiving with a whole family, and maybe you or one other person sees a person walk through the room. You could smell the perfume, but no one else can. It's almost like both of you are somehow telepathically being sent this experience. And that kind of subjective phenomena is the most common that people have. And it's one of the big reasons why, people try to take pictures with cameras or video equipment, whatever they can, and they can't get it on camera because they'll never be able to. It's all happening at a sensory level. Not that it's not happening, but it's happening in this level that's kind of above the ability to record it. So it's a fascinating type of phenomenon because it's tricky. The objective one, of course, is way more fascinating for people, especially in Ghostbusters, because you see everything come alive, objects flying, things move. And it's that type, of course, that the Ghostbusters try to contain within their boxes. The other type you really can't control.
Wonderful. And then now that you mentioned Ghostbusters Afterlife, it's coming out in DVD and Blu-ray. From your experience, is there something that the characters in this movie experience that you yourself experience that you can share with us?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, from this film, there's been phenomena that I've encountered, which is similar. There's a case that I went on with a bunch of other scientists because it was a huge pit. And some people have called it, or I should say, some indigenous people nicknamed it the gateway to hell because it's a huge pit of fire and gas. But inside of it, and at night, people have seen apparitions and forms look like they're climbing into it and climbing out of it. And so much so that people have encountered these things. They've been burned by them. They've been attacked by them. So, and in the film, there's, of course, this well, this pit, which is very similar to it, that type of experience. And immediately when I saw the movie, I thought about that experience because it's both very enticing and also terrifying at the same time for most people to have encountered that kind of thing.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing. We're running out of time, unfortunately, but how can we follow, or where can we find you on Instagram or social media, so that way we can find out more about those experiences that you
I actually,
had?
I purposely have stayed off those because of the clients I get prefer a very low profile. And they don't go that route for me to help them. But if someone ever wanted to get a hold of me for, regarding their experiences stuff, I will communicate with, of course, Sony, the wonderful people here at Sony who are making this all happen, and give them information they could forward on to me.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Christopher Chacón. Pleasure getting to talk to you, and thank you for sharing all those experiences.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you.